welcome. And it seems kind of strange to like open up now that we've been talking about everyone's food now for a few minutes. But I'm Dr. Andy Brown, lead for residency here at Chicago School. I'm joined by the person who really has most of the control, and that's Colleen, and also Cody, who's an incredible supportive person. I'll have them introduce themselves. Collagen, would you like to kind of share who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name's Colleen Malone, famously nicknamed Collagen by Dr. A here. I'm the department manager for CMHC. So I help with residency planning and then kind of anything and everywhere in between. I'll turn it over to Dr. Dixon.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dixon. I am an administrative faculty. Do most of my work is in field work, and you'll be hearing from me when it comes to like CPCs and tests and all the things that nobody really likes. So that comes from me, unless it doesn't come from Colleen. And then I teach the 604 class and try to get everybody ready for field work, and usually answer your questions if and when I can. Of which I ask Colleen for the answer most of the time, sorry.
Absolutely, thank you. And I was actually just having a conversation with Alicia about field work. Dr. Dixon's a very important person to know. He and Dr. Foster, if you have fieldwork questions, great people, very open to talk with most days. So be sure that you hook them up with your questions and what have you. And we'll also be talking a little bit about that during residency as it moves forward. Now, the first thing I want to do is kind of dispel the fact that we're not having residency. We are having residency this year, but it's going to be virtual. So as you're aware, I'm not sure if you've been out much, but there's this thing called COVID-19. It's happening. There's this pandemic going on, just in case you haven't watched any news in the last few months. And so it's impacted everyone pretty much, and not just the hybrid programs but and the online programs, but pretty much most brick and mortar programs I know at this point are either going virtual or they're not going. We were very fortunate because we're already kind of a hybrid program and we do so many things online. We were able to transition really quickly, and we got approval from our accreditors and KCREP and whatnot. And so we're really, really great at and ready to move forward with this. The biggest thing is because a lot of people, ask, why don't we postpone it? And the answer to that is simple, because there is a potential for a reoccurrence of COVID-19, or maybe we have the sequel like COVID-20, we don't know, in the fall, when things pick back up. And of course, I don't like to, broadcast or, predict negative things. We certainly don't, wish that to happen, but we don't want to plan to have a face-to-face in the fall just to get canceled again. The other aspect of that is if we didn't have residency, then that could push everyone back as much as a year with their residency and whatnot. I know I've got some people like, no, that doesn't. We feel like we have a pretty good, somebody have a question? Okay, nobody had a question. I thought somebody may have had a question there for a minute. Yeah, it's we want to make sure that you all stay on track, with your with your schooling and whatnot. So I want to kind of briefly cover the schedule and what it's going to look like for you all. Colleges, do you want to share your screen? Or want to share mine?
I'm happy to share mine. First, I know we have some other faculty here from CMHC.
Oh, we do? I can't see everyone.
That's all right.
I'd love to introduce any of the other faculty that we have.
Yeah, and we're just going to make it brief because we do have our town hall tomorrow, but just in case they won't be there tomorrow, maybe you'll catch them tonight. So Dr. Crowley, I saw you on here. I'm going to have you go first.
Glad to. And yes, I probably will be at the town hall meeting tomorrow night. However, for those of you that do not know me, my name is Dr. Amy Crowley. I am a full-time core faculty member here in the CMHC program. I also serve as the chapter faculty advisor for our honor society, Theta Chi Sigma, and I'm also the chapter faculty advisor for a student interest group known as Pride Plus that encompasses the entire online campus. So all programs that have online degrees are eligible for membership in the Pride Plus program. And I'm here as an advisor. I do not typically teach residency courses because I do take my term off in summer too. However, I have many, many, many advisees with lots of questions. So I'm here to try to gain some answers to those questions for them.
Thank you. Dr. Rush Wilson, you want to jump in?
Sure. Hi, I'm Tiffany Rush Wilson. I'm the Associate Department Chair in the program. And this summer I am teaching the group course for residency. So some of you may be, well, some of you will be my students. And I will be there tomorrow again for the town hall meeting. But if you have any questions or anything for me, please let me know.
Thank you. And Dr. Hudson, I know we'll hear from you in a minute, but if you want to just introduce yourself, that would be great.
Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Danita Hudson. I am also full-time faculty here, and usually I teach the 528 course, which would be Residency 1 for most of you. So I will see most of you in that course and, of course, during our virtual residency. I also coordinate service learning, so I'll be talking a little bit about what that'll look like for you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, let me share my screens with the schedule.
We have like an amazing faculty. I'm so excited for you all to get to know them more. I would be jacked to have any of them. So really exciting.
Dr. Brown, can I interrupt you for a second? We forgot Dr. Dixon. He's here as well.
We introduced him earlier.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And I'm sorry I didn't see the rest of you because I've just got this one screen, and then I realized that there are 3 others, and like 2 other screens, you know, besides the one that I'm on. So sorry for that oversight. And I'm glad that everyone kind of thank you for catching that, Colleen. Okay, so this is kind of a high-end overview of the residency. What you see here basically is the. Have you got that straight, Colleen? Because every time you move that, my eyes like go cross.
Sorry, I wanted to make sure all of it was showing.
Okay, so what we're looking at here is a high-end overview of the schedule. And so when you think about our 7-week term together, the first week, basically, your professor is going to be locking in the week 2 and week 3 of residency. And what that means is in week 2 of the term, you're going to have a 2-hour slot either on a Tuesday or Wednesday where you will meet. Week 2, week 3, either on a Tuesday or Wednesday, you'll have another 2-hour stint. You will meet your cohort just like this. You're going to meet with your cohort. But the bulk of the time is going to be the weekend of July 17th through the 20th. Now you'll see here in the middle where things kind of get, there's like an elongated column, the elongated columns here in the middle. Thank you for highlighting that, Colleen. So if we look at Friday here, we'll actually be going from 4 to 9:30 Central Time, PM. So that'll be like our official kickoff for that weekend. And we'll have everything kind of broken up, like where you're supposed to be, what you're going to be doing, the link that you'll use to get there. Those are going to come out in the residency guidebooks once the course begins. On Saturday, we have a first stint that is 9 to 1, and again this is Central Time, and so we begin at 9 o'clock Central Time. You'll be doing your Res 1 or your Res 2 with your cohorts. There'll also be opportunities to kind of get together with everyone, and then there's a break from about 1 to 3. Then we kick back up from 3 to 6 Central Time again, and then you'll finish off the day on Saturday. Sunday looks much the same, where we go from 9 to 1 Central Time in the morning. We have a break, and then from 3 to 6 Sunday evening. During these times, you'll be doing things. I know Res 2, you have a little bit more of an awareness of what this looks like. For Res 1, you'll meet with your cohort. Your professor will teach you some things. They'll go through, they'll do some skill demonstration. Then they'll divide you up. We have a way of kind of being able to block off, students into dyads and triads and the 2s and 3s, and have them actually practice skills and to receive feedback. And then Monday, we end that long weekend from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. And that's like the crux, or the majority of our virtual residency will happen during that one weekend. We tried to contain it as much of during that one weekend as possible. The reason why we have other times is that we were trying not to flow over into too much of another week or to another weekend. The only thing that's left is during week 5, you'll have another 2-hour stint. That'll be like your closing with your cohort, and it'll happen on either a Tuesday or Wednesday. The weeks before the weekend, week 2 and week 3 and week 5, will all be calibrated and kind of selected by your professor. Your professor should reach out in the first probably day or 2 of the term and probably connect with you on the time that they either get with you on a time that works best for everyone in the group, or may already have a time locked in for the group. So I want to stop there for a moment and to see if there are any questions about the makeup of the residency.
And I'm happy to read them off if it's easier for someone to type them into the chat. Justina, your intro was impeccable. She said she's the GA that works on residency stuff.
Yes, I also wanted to, during this time, I want to kind of introduce Justina. And Justina, can you come off mute for a moment?
Yes, Dr. A.
Thank you. Justina, can you kind of share a little bit about yourself and what your role is here?
So like I said, I'm the GA that works on the residency stuff and literally like all the residency stuff, aside from the stuff that Colleen does because she's a superstar. But I do mostly like the admin work. I answer questions, lots of questions. I used to do like ID stuff when we had the in-person residency. I answer questions like regarding like residency buddies, any questions regarding the fieldwork manuals. So the manuals are a little bit different this year because we're doing a virtual residency instead of an in-person residency. I mainly just do what Dr. A and Colleen tell me to do regarding residency.
Justina, you also may want to add in there that you're going to be doing some additional training sessions for anyone who's open. Both yourself and Justina is joined by some of her support personnel or the people who also support residency. Is there anyone on here you want to introduce that's with our session today?
Is Andy on here?
I'm here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't see him.
Can't see you. So Andy is the alumni residency, or he's one of the alumni residency co-chairs, and Mallory Hardesty is the other one, but I don't think she's on here today. And then Andy, do you want to share a little bit about yourself and what you do, and then I can let you introduce the SRCs?
Yeah, so I'm Andrew Charney. I graduated from the Chicago School in 2018. I had talked to Justina over the summer about coming on to help out the Chicago School of Residency because I enjoyed it so much. So as Justina said, I'm the residency alumni co-chair. So I'm really main student support. So any of you guys who are having, anxiety about residency, any questions about what you're feeling, what might go on, I'm here for you. You can send me an email anytime. I also work with the student residency chairs, and they help out pretty much plan about residency, how we're going to take it on and support everybody. So yeah, we're really trying hard to get this virtual residency thing down. It's really like a learning curve for sure. But I think Nicola Noel, are you there? I believe you signed on here before. Do you want to introduce yourself for a quick second?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Nicola Noel. I'm in my 3rd year into the program. This is my 2nd residency, and I am looking forward to facilitating the process, just providing support for anyone that needs me and help the process go smoother. I know this is a huge change, and I just encourage everyone to just remain open to change because it can be a good thing.
Thank you.
Absolutely, well said. And I think I also have Shannon. I saw Shannon signed in at one point. Are you there, Shannon?
I'm here.
Okay, do you want to give yourself a quick intro too?
Hi, I'm, 2nd year. I switched over to the Master of Psychology program, but still on board with the Residency committee. I don't know what else you want to say.
That's perfect. And then, Leah, do you want to give a quick intro too?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Leah. I'm in my second year here. Excuse me. I am looking, like Nicola said, I'm looking forward to working with everybody and embracing this whole brand new residency. This is my second one as well. So I can't wait.
All right. Thank you. We have outstanding support cast here, both with students and with alumni and stuff, and incredibly appreciated. What we kind of envision in moving forward after we go through the initial training with them is they're going to set up some random meetings and whatnot for students that may have specific questions, and they may go through a little bit more detail in the trainings and to be able to kind of field your questions from a student standpoint. Something that we can't do as faculty is giving you a student-facing answer to some of your questions, and specifically how to prepare as a student, by a student, from a student, these kinds of things, which they're amazing at. So thank you both, or all of you, for introducing yourselves there.
What's that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to kind of circle back around now. Now we'd like to kind of ask if Danita would share about service learning.
Okay, so in the past, for those of you that attended residency before with us, know that we've done service learning in a way where we've been out in the community. For the last couple of years, that's been with the Chicago Housing Authority, working with some of the older populations that live within their older adult facilities. Before that, we went to other organizations, whether it was working with the homeless. We did work within the Japanese American community. We've done several different projects. And so our idea of service learning isn't just going in and volunteering, it's becoming a part of the community, using the skills that you will be working on and learning about while you're at residency at the facilities. So it's really a hands-on, getting your hands dirty, going in, spending time with those that are in the community, and again, using your basic counseling skills. So our job was to figure out how we would make that virtual. So it's a work in progress. I don't think it's perfect at this particular point, but it's a good start. And what we're trying to do is still keep with the heart of what we want this experience to be about, which is, again, you getting to know the community, you being able to provide a project, and not just one where you are just kind of doing something in a volunteer way, but one where you can interact. Now that's going to be a little bit harder from our perspective, but we're hoping that this will work. So right now what we're looking at is we will have about 6 populations that you can choose to work with. And so right now those are children, adolescent, college students, adults with mental illness, older adults, and we thought about adding a first responder population as well, because we know kind of what's going on in the country, that many of them may need some resources, or we might be able to provide a service to help them or to train those who are working with them. So during these groups, what we'll do is break you all up into groups of about 8 to 10 students. You will create your own project. And so what that means is that as a group, you'll decide on what kind of project might best serve that population. So if we take the first responder population, for instance, you may want to come up with a wellness or self-care project that we can either use to market to, again, counselors or other mental health organizations or people who work with that population, or to that population itself. You will take the time during residency to put this program together. So you only have about 1.5 hours during actual residency for service learning. That means that a lot of what you'll be doing with your group will happen before service learning. Before residency, so that you'll be able to have that time to begin to formulate your idea. I have some different topics, but those topics do not mean that we don't want you to be thinking of something that might be close to your heart or a need you find in your community that may not be listed. You'll be able to get with your group, come up with some ideas, but those topics will need to get approved by myself and possibly the faculty that will be teaching your course. Once you come up with your ideas, you will put a project together, and then after you've put your project together, you individually will begin the process of marketing it to your community. You can do this either by gathering resources and putting resources together like on a website and sharing that website information with an organization. You may put together a presentation that has to do with whatever the need is in the community and kind of how do you work through whatever that challenge might be. So again, this is kind of vague right now because part of it is, like I said, a work in progress. Trying to change this into a virtual concept is kind of difficult. So you guys will have to bear with me for a little while, but we'll definitely have it ready to go before classes start. Any questions about service learning? Okay. All right. Dr. Brown, I think I'm done then.
Thank you very much. And Danita is wonderful with that, and she's incredibly creative and inventive, and I'm glad that she's used her powers for goodness, because I would hate to see what it looked like if she didn't. And so, you know, I anticipate that there's going to be some creative, while we're looking at doing like this virtual residency, we're doing this virtual residency, it's most definitely not a watered down situation. We're going to use some things I think that are incredibly inventive. We've also partnered with a school in Canada, so we're going to do some international work and give you an opportunity to see some demonstrations from different faculty on different theories and whatnot during the course of this. So we're doing some pretty creative things that we're excited about for the situation too. I also kind of want to bring up if there's anybody that has any religious observance related issues and whatnot because of the residency, if you will reach out ahead of time, let us know to myself and to Colleen. If you can copy both of us on there so we can document that. Anything that we need to help you with or make up time or switch some time around or whatnot. Also, I think Colleen wanted to kind of cover professionalism.
Sorry, I'm typing an answer into the question into the chat. Ashley asked, "Is the service learning done virtual, or would we be doing it in person, depending on where you physically are in your community?" And the question does make sense. And Ashley, that is a great question that I don't think we have a specific answer to at this point. Similar to field work, you know, depending on your current state and restrictions and, you know, phases of opening up things, it's really going to depend on how everything's going on in the environment. So that's why we're really focused on preparing you for service learning at residency, and then hopefully allowing you to integrate it into your community after residency as to what works best for you. You know, we're still trying to decide at the end of the course, at the end of week 7, what the final presentation or assignment that we're going to have turned in, because we know that everyone's kind of going to be up and it's going to be a fluctuating situation. So just know that we're trying to figure that out right now as a faculty team. So your patience and, you know, again, flexibility is appreciated. And I just wanted to circle back to what Dr. Brown said about being creative. Right now, this is a time where we can all embrace our creative side and use that to our benefit. Being able to do things virtually doesn't necessarily make it limited. It just allows us to use resources in a different way and approach things from a more creative mindset. So please kind of embrace that thought process going into a virtual residency. Okay, let me bring up the professionalism document. And we wanted to share this with you. This meeting tonight and the town hall tomorrow, it is pretty informal, like I said. And, you know, in small groups and things like that, we really want you guys to have fun and engage and meet your peers and have that sense of community. But You know, this is a graduate program and we do have to remember to be professional. So let me share the document that we will have in class that you just have to acknowledge. So I'll kind of summarize it. Basically, we want to make sure that you are focused on residency. So we want you to be alone in a secure location. You know, we understand that you may have family or, you know, other people around you, but if you need to prioritize residency as you would your coursework. So please make arrangements accordingly. You know, make sure you're not driving in a moving vehicle, make sure you're being safe. We want to make sure that we can see you. You will be required to be on camera for all of the residency sessions. And again, this document, along with all the others we're showing you tonight, are going to be made available. So don't, you know, if you miss a word or two here or there, definitely don't worry. We'll provide it. So students should be appropriately dressed for class, whether online or in person. Definitely do not use drugs or alcohol, nor smoke or vape during the class time. Please be cautious of when you share your screen, what is also on your screen. Please be discreet. Again, you want to be focused on your course content and residency experience. And then last but not least, faculty members may assign a failing class session grade or expel a student from the session if the above professionalism standards are not fulfilled. We may put a student on a student development plan if the case becomes habitual. And Dr. Dixon actually manages the student development plans and he heads that committee. So, you know, if you have any questions about what a student development plan is, we can hear from him at the end of this session as well. Okay. Any questions or concerns related to the professionalism piece?
All right, thank you very much, Colleen. And so this is basically tonight, we wanted to give a high-end overview of what the virtual residency was going to look like. We realized that there are some people who still had questions as if there was going to be a residency at all. And there's a resounding yes. And it's not just going to be a virtual residency. It is a virtual residency, but it's going to be an outstanding residency and one that we really look forward to. Our faculty really transmit well virtually and have been doing this for quite some time and are incredibly creative. I'm just always blown away by the creativity expressed by our faculty. We also have amazing support staff, as you've met some here, both from our alumni and from our current student body, the people who have been there, done that, and bought the t-shirt, so to speak, and kind of helped to guide you and assuage your angst and what have you. Where to from here? So what will happen next is if you watch the CMHC online forum, we're going to be placing dates and times where there will be follow-ups, probably led by Andrew and or Justina, that will answer maybe specific questions that you have about residency itself, and maybe even have a chance to kind of walk you through some of the documents that we've mentioned and kind of flown through tonight. So we want to kind of stop there at this point. We realize we've been up around the half-hour mark, and we've given you a lot of information. We want to kind of take a step back and to see if there's any questions about residency we can answer at this time.
And really quickly, I will say, Carrie or Kari, sorry, feel free to correct me. She wanted to know what appropriate dress is. Great question. Generally business casual. That's what we require during in-person residency. So I would say business casual for virtual as well. There may be some times where we ask you to stand up, kind of stretch or be active for a little bit, maybe some icebreakers. So, you know, definitely have on pants. I'll leave it at that.
And that goes for faculty too. I'm just like putting that out there. I have to like make a note for myself to remind me. I mean, you know, you work at home for a while and you're like pajamas, you know, but you got to be careful with that stuff when you're on camera because you never can tell the first time that I went through a training, this is years ago, like over a decade ago, they said, we'll see you in like 10 minutes. And I was like, oh, this is one of those. And so I put on a polo shirt and I put on a cap and everything. And I still had like my pajama bottoms on. And after the meeting started, I thought, what if they asked me to get up and get something? And there was this like sheer terror that went throughout my body. I was like, oh my God, do I just crawl away? I don't know how to operate this on. So you just have to be prepared for that, because, you know, part of this is we want to be able to see your body language and stuff like that. So you may be asked to be pulled back so we can like watch you while you're doing a session and what have you. So just things to kind of keep in mind. Good questions. Any other questions?
So where did you say these documents were going to be located? Would it just be under announcements? Is it somewhere specific in Canvas?
Great question. I haven't posted anything yet. So after this recording is complete, I will make an announcement in the advising forum, and I'll include where our documents will be. They'll be in Box. So if you have any issues getting to that, let me know. But we are still kind of tweaking things here and there. So, you know, there may be slight updates to little verbiage and things you see, but the general schedule, that's fixed. So again, your flexibility and creativity and openness are appreciated in this process. So long story short, Grace, yes, there will be an announcement in the advising forum, and then we can also post it in each of the classes so that everyone can see it.
Yeah. And as we move forward, there are, of course, going to be other training, but then the very first week of class, your professor will reach out and lock those times and dates in for the virtual times 2 to 3 weeks out. And then during the 5th week, Dr. Danita Hudson is going to be our mentor for Faculty 1 residency personnel. And Dr. Sarah Dalton is going to be our faculty lead for our faculty mentor for Residency 2. So we're going to have a lot of support both for faculty and for students moving forward. We realize this is a brand new concept. We're trying to kind of preemptively work through all of the bugs and the potential issues, knowing that this is the first time that we've done this. And so we recognize that it'll be interesting. We've also simultaneously never had this many students at a residency before. So there's a few firsts for us with this. And we anticipate next summer, if we continue on our current route, to have even more. So we're really excited about all these firsts that are taking place. Any other questions? I saw some of the questions being popped up there and being responded to and whatnot, which is completely appreciated, and thank you. I love the questions, really good questions. Any other questions for us this evening that we could help with? If you didn't get your questions in, if you go ahead, Colleen, were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, while we're waiting for maybe a couple more questions, Blair asked a really great question. She just wanted to say, hey, well, when will we know when the week 2, 3, and 5 2-hour lab times be? It will depend on your faculty. Some faculty may determine that time frame and let you know day 1 of the class. Some faculty may take a poll day 1 and try to decide what works best for your section of residency. But it will be decided as soon as possible so that everyone can try to accommodate with their schedules. So again, that's week 2, 3, and 5. And residency falls at the end of week 3 and beginning of week 4.
We will be strongly encouraging all faculty to touch base the first day of the term of week 7 to be able to kind of get that to you as soon as possible. We recognize that you all have lives and you've got to take time off from things and block time and whatnot, and so we totally understand that. We want to get that to you as soon as possible. All right. Colleen, were there any other questions that came up?
Unless I've missed any, I think another question was, are jeans appropriate? And again, as long as they're, they have no holes, they're you know, nice jeans. Yes, those are fine. No show. Let's see. Glad this has been helpful. Yeah, if there's any particular questions for Residency 1 folks who are just coming into this, and then, you know, people or students who have completed Residency 1, if you have any specific Res 2 questions, you know, feel free. We have some time.
Keep in mind too, like tonight, like after you get out, I'm bad for this. Like I'll leave a meeting and I have questions later. You know, you wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat and you're like, but what if, or how does this work, or whatever. Just realize that we don't fold away in a file cabinet after these meetings are over. We're still around. And also keep in mind, again, there's going to be additional trainings as we move through the rest of this term in the weeks to come.
I have a question, Dr. A.
Yes.
First of all, I loved your comment about the panic. Do I just crawl away?
Yes.
It's a very typical work from home situation. So I, as a GA, have gotten a few questions of like first residency people, but also for myself. Have there been any like brainstorming of ideas of locations that people could go to be in a private space when their state is still like mostly shut down, if they are not able to get to like a secluded place enough in their house? Like for me, my son is 17 months and he is like a dog and knows if I'm in any room of the house, and he will hunt me down to find me because my husband is not entertaining enough, I guess. So for me, I would have, you know, like baby screaming at the back of the door for a bit of the session. So have there been any ideas of like locations or like theories of what people could do?
Well, I'll be honest with you, we have, but we were more daydreaming because we were talking about running away to a spa. We were like, what if we go to a spa for the way? I mean, normally you'd have to travel to Chicago, right? You'd have to get on an airplane, you know, rent, you know, a hotel room for 4 or 5 days. We were like, what if we just go to a spa? But I mean, that's like, you know, more like a daydream. Not that you couldn't do that, by the way. You could do a hotel that had a decent internet, you know, connection. You could also look at a relative. If you have a relative around that maybe doesn't have kids or, you know, has like space available. We haven't gone through a formal time of brainstorming, but that's certainly something that we could kind of do and put up some suggestions for people that are in, that are as entertaining as yourself and really struggle with, you know, people that are, you know, that just can't get enough of you and they're going to seek you out and find out what rooms you're in and that kind of thing. So, but they're really good questions, because I recognize like when you're at home, people don't always really kind of respect your space and whatever, and you know, kids are going to kind of seek you out, and maybe pets and dogs and everything else. So you know, that's a very good question.
Yeah, Lindsay, the struggle's real. They're like little sharks. They smell you.
Yeah. I always know. Yeah. I tried to hide once, like my husband told me to go take a bath. I tried to hide. It lasted maybe 5 minutes. Doesn't work.
Yeah. I know some libraries are slowly opening up. Sometimes you can reserve a room through them.
I thought about that. Our libraries are still shut down, but
Okay.
maybe slowly we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Maine, so we're like 2 to 3 weeks behind everybody else. So they've been really slow with opening stuff back up. So we'll see.
I have a question. Sorry.
Yes.
I know somebody had mentioned about, in regard to the service learning, you know, about the possibility of like if states are like opening if there are places to go. What if, like in my case in particular, I'm in like the very high risk category as far as my health. So that would not be something that I would not be comfortable with it, and my doctors obviously would not approve of that. So that would be something that obviously I would not really be able to do. So if you guys are, I was trying to understand if people are gonna be able to go out, is there an option for those who, let's say, can't physically go to certain places?
Okay, That's a very good question, and it's something that we have actually begun to, we've had talks about or whatnot. Danita, I'm not sure if Dr. Hudson, I'm not sure if it is something that you want to respond to at this time or.
Yeah, I can. Shantu, we're not trying to make this difficult for you all. We recognize that some populations, like if you're choosing to work with older adults, you may not have that option to be face-to-face. If you're working with children, again, you may not have that option. So we will make sure that whatever service learning option to do it virtually as well. So that way it can meet the needs of your state, it can meet the needs of your population, and it can meet your individual needs as well.
Thank you.
All right, I have a question or a concern, I guess. I'm a transfer from Argosy, and I did Residency 1 through Argosy, and I'm doing Residency 2 with the Chicago School. And I do have to audit the group counseling class. So I'm just wondering how that's all going to work. And what I've been doing is just taking it a step at a time. And I think that's the best way to go because it seems like that's what we're all doing. So is there any concerns or something that I should be prepared for? Or?
No, really, when you audit the class, it's a little bit different than taking the class in full. So we can work with your faculty advisor, the instructor, and Autumn Sussness, our SSC, to make sure, I mean, we on the back end know that you are auditing the class, but we will make sure that you're very clear on what tasks you need to complete because that is a little bit different. Now that I'm thinking about what I put in the chat, yes, it is a little bit different than taking the full course. So we will get that to you.
Okay. Thanks,
Okay.
Kelly. Thanks.
Yep.
This has been very informative, by the way.
Great. But just know that the residency piece is very important. So you'll have to be present for all of the lab times that were shown in that schedule.
Okay, yeah. So like I said, as it gets closer, I think more will be revealed to me. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually like I said, I'm excited about the residency. I really wish we could all be face to face, but this is pretty cool too. So.
Right.
Thanks again.
Thank you. And just know that we are going to continue to have small groups. So that in-person residency feel where you're in groups of, 8, 6 to 8 or 9, that's gonna be the same circumstance. You'll just be in a Zoom meeting instead of in a classroom. So, you're still going to have that community feel, that interaction with your instructors and some of our alumni. As Dr. Brown said, we're going to have supporting demos from that other school in Canada, and I'm sorry I cannot remember the name. if you wanna share it with us.
Yorkville University.
Yorkville. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And we've had this situation before too. Gerard, I believe it is. We've had several people that have been in your situation, and so this will not be like a new thing that we're kind of going through, and we should be able to kind of work with you through that situation and whoever your professor is that term.
Okay, thank you so much, Robert.
Absolutely.
Do we have, like, during our breakout groups, like the groups that we have, is there a faculty or GA or someone in each of the groups at all times, or it's just us students?
That's a really good question, and you will have a professor. Basically, right now we've got like 3 different panels of like I don't know how many people. When you get on, we may have like an introduction that's like this, like, kind of welcoming you to the residency, but then you're going to go into a separate room with your cohort. Your cohort will basically be your professor and maybe 15 people or less. And so you'll have it'll be quite a fewer number of people, and you'll have a professor. During that time, you may also have an alumni come in. You could have a GA come in, a doctoral student. different people to come in and try to, and to help you to give feedback with some of your skills and stuff like that. So it's kind of like what Collagen was saying. It is more intimate and what have you, and you are going to have more, one-on-one. And what will happen too is, like, as you're practicing, that we have the capacity to break people up into twos and threes, and so you'll just see 2 or 3 people, and then either your alumni or your faculty or different people will kind of come through your triads and your dyads and give you feedback. And so you'll have basically a group that looks like this with 170 people, just basically introductions, and if we're doing anything from a large group standpoint, but a majority of your time is going to be with your cohort, which is about 15 people or less, with your professor and any kind of support faculty.
When we're working with from my point of view, I'm a Res 2, so it would be working with my Res 1 buddy. If it's like last year, we didn't have like a professor with us at that time, though, unless that's kind of changing this year.
We certainly hope that you had a professor near you at that time.
Well, they were in the room. Yes.
Okay, so and that's the way it'll be here too, is they'll be in the room with you and whatnot, and they'll circulate around as you're giving, individuals are giving feedback. There's always going to be and there should always be a support personnel with you or near you. So there might be times where 2 or 3 of you are working independently without your professor there and whatever, when things are kind of blocked off and you're into these pods, but you have people coming in and out of those pods giving you feedback. But a majority of the time you're going to have a professor present either directly with you, or they're going to be at least in the room and available. We have yet to find a way to run away or to get away from things, so we're there the whole time.
Dr. Hudson, do you mind sharing your response to David's question?
Sure. David asked, I have to scroll back up to see what the question was again. Oh, if you'd be able to kind of choose your groups based on people that you've worked with in the past that maybe you worked really well with. And because it's so many of you, that's just not an option. So what we'll try to do is match you with people who have similar interests. With it being groups of 8 to 10, of course, you may have those who are they work really hard to get things done, and those that have 2 jobs and they can't get it done until the last minute. So it's just going to be something that you'll have to work through, because in your life and in your career, you'll run into those same situations, and just being able to kind of adjust and to get through it. So I hate that I cannot get you guys with people that you work well with. But we'll do the best we can to accommodate as many of you as possible.
And we're also happy to find, that you've made connections like that during your time here. And it's something that we certainly want to encourage. So if there's an opportunity for that, we certainly want to, urge you to take it. Any other questions? I see we have we're over the 100 mark in our questions, and I'm assuming that college is answering all those with one hand, because she's got that one hand up. She's doing everything with one hand. That's how talented she is. And of course, I think we've got some other, Andrew has been answering some questions, and Justina, and thank you all for supporting the chat area.
I have another question. I'm bringing in questions from people that said that they weren't going to be here. I heard wind that the residency buddy situation was going to be slightly different. Like it was going to be the residency co-chairs. Is that still the case, or are we going to, like, Res 2 people are going to be assigned res buddies sooner, so that we can start talking to them and helping ease anxieties or anything like that?
That's a great question, Lindsay. So in the past, we have done residency buddies, where residency 2 or students who are entering residency 2 take on 1 or 2 students who are entering residency 1, to just give them some support as they travel to Chicago logistically set up, things like that. Now, for this situation, since all of that unknown is being taken away, what we're going to do is have Andrew Charney and Justina and the other residency team kind of lead the residency buddy ideas, where they're going to be hosting some like Q&As like this, or just doing short recordings and posting them in the advising forum, just like tips and tricks, because our numbers are so great, and this is a little bit new for everybody, that we didn't want to put additional pressure on our Res 2s and have so many maybe unknown questions and have that reflect, poorly on you guys or anything like that. So right now we're going to remove the one-on-one buddy situation, but the information will still be there. We're going to learn from alumni and students who have gone through Res 1 successfully, Res 2 successfully, and things like that. So just know the support will be there, just in a different fashion.
We're, instead of playing person to person, we're playing zone. And if we have to break it down that way, so and within the virtual, the cool thing about the virtual method that we're using, this delivery, is we're able to pull some really awesome resources. And so, and not that Res 2 are not awesome resources, because they are, and you totally should connect with some Res 2. But we also have, people that are alumni and students that have been through Res 1 and Res 2 at this point or whatever, that have additional information. And so that's why we want to get some other resources out to you and offer some more opportunities for these sessions and whatnot, where you're able to get some information and support with regards to your, moving forward.
Yeah, and just to say, like, my experience working as a mentor and like supervisor and everything, it really does work online. Like, I just want to like really drive that home. It really does work virtually. I have had a lot of people reach out to me and just say, how is it going to work with telehealth? How's it going to work with virtual residency? Like, first step is just got to believe in it and just like actually invest in it. And if you have hope with it, it will work, because I've been doing this for about 9 or 10 weeks now. And I could say I still get a lot of good results with people I work with, both mentees, supervisees, and client-wise. So we are a team. That's why I wanted to introduce the other SRCs in the beginning too. So we're pretty much a team that's going to be trying to join the breakout groups, be available to you guys. But being that it's such a large group, it is hard to check in with everybody. So please, if you have any questions, concerns, hesitations, just let us know. I'm available all day, every day. So anything you guys need, we're here for you.
Thank you so very much. Andrew was part of the class that I came in under, and certainly, it's wonderful to have you all back in, and to have the support of the alumni.
I have a question. Maybe it's premature, but when the schedule was up, there was a lot of hot seat. What exactly is the hot seat part of it? It doesn't, yeah. What exactly is it, being in the hot seat?
The hot seat of discomfort. I'm going to let Dr. Hudson speak to the hot seat of discomfort.
Okay, so first of all, we will be changing the name. Do not fear. It is not something where you're going to be put on the spot to do a task by yourself. In the past, in our regular residencies, we've done what we call the walk of discomfort. And it is a activity or exercise that we do to help you all with building empathy and positive regard. And so we had to figure out a way to do that virtually. And I don't want to give anything away, but that's what it's referring to. It's an activity that you will all do in groups. And so don't let it worry you. If you had some anxiety when you were looking at it, don't worry about it. It won't be something that you're doing alone.
It was just the wording. The hot seat part was kind of like a little bit intimidating. Just wanted to kind of know what I was getting myself into.
Yeah. Well, since we called it the walk of discomfort and you guys won't be walking, It was just kind of our way of noting that, you know, this was an exercise that we would have to change for.
Walk of discomfort sounds much better.
That will probably, you're probably the only person who will ever say that after being through that. So
Yeah, it might change after it happens, but we'll see.
yeah. So we recognize that, you know, in doing this virtually, we really want to take, you know, your psychological well-being into to consideration as we're doing all of our activities, both the activities that we have designed and redesigned, and when we're having these activities, we're all based on feedback from former students. And we want to do things in a strategic way so as not to really cause any kind of meltdowns or encourage that kind of thing, but to really have a very fluid experience where you can get something out of it, and it's something that's very meaningful without being something that's you know, in like has the potential of kind of melting you down, so to speak.
I have one more that I'm bringing in from
You
additional
only had
people.
one. You only get one per. You're like two now. I'm kidding. Go
Per
ahead.
people that keep asking me questions. So it's from an international student. She's in South Africa. So what are the accommodations that are going to be made for all these international students, since it is an international program? I know like the one session went until 8 or 9 p.m. in Central Time. So for her, that's 3 a.m., 4 a.m. So what should she plan to expect? Should she work on her sleep schedule in advance?
Well, you know, it is, and we have multiple international students, and it is something that we've taken into consideration. We're trying to align students with time zones. However, that's within the borders of the United States. So if you kind of think about, if we had regular residency, everybody would have to come into Central Time Zone in order to be part of the residency. So there may be an acclimation or adjustment. We'll try to put them as close to the time zone as possible that where they are located, knowing that, you know, with Africa, they could be 6-7 hours ahead of us and whatnot. And so we recognize that that's, you know, that's going to be like a daunting, you know, daunting issue. We don't have enough. I know Dr. E talked about, you know, potentially having like a residency cohort with just international students, but honestly, we don't have enough of the international students to make a dedicated, you know, residency cohort. Myself and Colleen both volunteered to go over to Paris or to Africa to teach, but the school wouldn't sign off on that. We'd be okay with going over there for a week, but you know, for now, we're going to try to do the best we can with what we have, and we do apologize that I know that time is you know, really like crazy when you think about it. But again, if we were doing face-to-face residency, they'd also have to come over. You know, they'd be in Chicago, they'd be in Central Time, and we'd have that to kind of cope with and deal with too, or they would have that to cope with and deal with as well. So I hope that helps somewhat. We're doing everything that we can.
Yeah, she just wasn't able to make the meeting, so I wanted to make sure I asked, and then she is going to watch the recorded session. So
well, now before you go away, did anybody drop any other questions on you you'd like to ask for them at this time?
Don't think so. I think I answered them all. All right, they were all answered, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a lot.
Yeah, and for you all that know, when people come in to have friends that have problems, really, it could be them. We're not sure. I'm kidding.
Donna.
It could happen. No, thank you, and I appreciate you asking that for your friends. Okay, we are at the top of the hour. Keep in mind, again, you know, just because the meeting goes away doesn't mean that we go away. Colleen has been recording this meeting. We're going to provide the link. CMHC online forum. Also going to just touch base in there. You're going to find other times and availabilities for ongoing meetings of trainings and these kinds of things as we progress forward. Things are going to begin to pick up. This is the first live session that we've had where we've discussed the online residency. Now they're just going to get more and more plentiful. There's going to be more information until we build up into our summer 2 and the residency experience actually begins. So we're looking at building the anticipation and excitement now, and hopefully not the anxiety. So it's wonderful to see you all. We are excited about these new avenues and what have you. We believe that we're on the cutting edge here at the Chicago School. You know, everyone else has gone virtual. We look at it not that they're you know, that we're catching up with them, but that now they're finally catching up with us. And we believe that you know, that this is just going to be a springboard for a lot more virtual things to come in the future. And you all are going to be probably as prepared or more prepared than most people in your field to deal with these kinds of things as you move forward. So have a wonderful night. As Colleen, Dr. Hudson, Dr. Dixon, Dr. Crowley, the future Dr. Charney, Justina, anyone else want to share anything before we call it an evening? All right, have a wonderful evening, and we will see you again soon.